Hello, my beautiful friends on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We're officially live, and we're inviting you for first this season Legacy Leaders Roundtable. It's Isabella Lump here, the founder and co-owner of Legacy Leader Institute, and I'm having here three amazing guests that are joining us right now, month of December, to bring some amazing spirit and cheer, but also great, powerful stories where all of us can make an impact and tremendous difference. Let me start with introductions so that you guys can see that you're absolutely for a treat for the next 60 minutes here. Let me start with Crissy. Crissy, welcome. Thank you for joining us from snowy New Mexico at the moment. Crissy is former Olympian. She is two-time gold and one-time silver medalist in swimming. And she has amazing story to tell. Do you mind sharing just a little bit to tease the audience about yourself, please?
My story actually ties in with another Olympian who people might know a little bit better, Missy Franklin.
What a great Olympian she is, yes. How about the next guest that I would like to introduce, Mark McIntosh, who actually was amazing athlete till a fortunate thing occurred and completely changed trajectory of his life. And he became a great sports broadcaster and so much more. Mark, do you mind sharing a little snippet about yourself?
Sure, Isabella. Thank you for that wonderful intro. And so as Isabella mentioned, longtime sportscaster here in Denver, former athlete, went to college on an athletic scholarship, but about back in April this year, I was diagnosed with a rare bone marrow disorder called amyloidosis. What the heck's that? It's very rare, but it killed my kidneys. And now I need a kidney transplant. And I've met Crissy and I've met Randy, and I'm just very passionate about raising awareness about live organ donation, that what people have in abundance, they could share and save somebody else's life, including mine. And so just grateful for this opportunity to hang out with Crissy and Randy and try to encourage others to consider live organ donation.
Thank you so much, Mark, for setting the stage for a dialogue that we're going to have in a bit. And without further ado, let me introduce to another amazing Olympian who did something that I was mesmerized as a child. He did ski jumping. Guys, yes, when I was a kid, I wanted first to be the ski jumper and skier. And he had a chance to do all of that himself. So Randy, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Randy Weber. Born and raised in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, Ski Town, USA. No pressure with a name like that in your hometown. We're fortunate enough to be a two-time Olympian in the sport of ski jumping. And I'm on the other side of the coin from Crissy. I received a double organ transplant and have subsequently teamed up with Mark and really feel that getting the message out about live organ donation and your ability to literally save somebody else's life, and what an important message that is. I was extremely fortunate to get two organs, both from living donors, and really feel a calling to share my story and do everything I can to encourage others, as Crissy did, to give a little bit of themselves and save somebody else's life.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for being here with us. You're our surprise guest, and will be more Legacy Leaders Roundtable to come in the near future. We have here audience trickling in, which I'm super excited to see my great friend Liga joining us from Canada. Thank you so much, Liga, for being here with us, as well, Stephen. And then also, thank you, Liga. We appreciate that. audiences will be coming in. As you guys are watching and listening, don't hesitate to share your questions, comments, and things you would like to learn. But we're really tackling very big this holiday season, which we want to make sure everybody is aware of. Obviously, we're tackling an opportunity to really look at the slogan that came together as a result of these amazing individuals here in studio. Share your spare, save your life, save a life, and leave priceless legacy. Let me start unpacking this. Obviously, we have in the studio Crissy that had accomplished tremendous legacy, and then she chose to do something that for a lot of people might be considered shocking. But Crissy, do you mind sharing with the audience what prompts you to extend and expand your legacy today by considering and then going through by donating your kidney and being a live kidney donor?
So I don't know if people can seek out some of the things that happen in life. You can try to be an Olympian, but it takes a lot of luck. You can hopefully try to be a famous broadcaster or podcaster. You can, hope to cure cancer. There's all kinds of things that you can hope for. This was something that a door opened for me, and it was something I chose. So I think, going into it, I didn't really understand very much about being a living donor, but for whatever reason I felt like that had been laid at my feet and an opportunity to make a difference in someone else's life. And so even though I hadn't planned it and it wasn't something that I was shooting for, when that door opened, I really wanted to go through it.
Wow, very powerful. And from that perspective, obviously, we know the outcome. And do you mind sharing how your mindset helped you to make that decision, obviously, when its opportunity presented itself, but also as you already went through this, how do you feel based on, obviously, impact that you created and ripple effect that you created as a result of it?
Well, the ripple effect, to start from the back maybe and go forward, the ripple effect, when I decided I was going to try to be a living donor, and then when I was a match, I wasn't really going to share it with anybody. I kind of felt like, you don't need to, the right hand doesn't need to know what the left hand is doing, just do a good deed and move on with your life, because that's the kind of place that I was in my life. The more that I thought about it and discussed it with my husband and a couple other people, this is something that could make an impact on others if we talked about it. And since the time that I have given my donation, which has been about 16 months, and I'm healthy, 100% healthy, and living exactly the same kind of lifestyle that I was prior, I've had 2 really good friends also become living donors. And to me, I know for them, and this, to me, this is why I think it's important that we discuss it, because it might open that door for someone who feels compelled to do that and feels compelled to help another person. And we've discussed this previously. It's not always the right time in your life. The right opportunities don't always pop up, but maybe you want to do it and you're not going to be a match for the person you thought you would help. Like, there's a lot of other things that go into it. But I think for me, the ripple effect has been the most important thing. The transplant process is very scientific. You're either a match or you're not. The surgery was very simple for me. It's a priority for them to keep the recipient and the donor healthy. But the ripple effect that's been the best part.
That's amazing. Again, I'm so glad that we're depicting this conversation specifically as we're recognizing how great need it is and what it takes to truly not only make a decision and go through it, but also see the outcome and what we're creating. And before we also hear from Randy and how he feels as a recipient, specifically of twice, right, of all organs, 2 organs that he received as a result of what occurred to him and hear his story, we wanted to contrast this with Mark. Mark is the one who really spent most of his career highlighting amazing athletes, amazing sports figures, and their successes. And through that trajectory, we are back in the sports community as now he has tremendous need. Mark, do you mind sharing a little bit and contrast those two things from your perspective?
Well, kind of like what Crissy was saying, you find yourself in situations in life that you rarely thought you were going to be in, right? And, I was 64, pretty healthy guy. Then I suddenly find out I got this rare bone marrow disorder that destroyed my kidneys, and then to begin to learn kind of what the transplant world is all about, and in learning that, wow, I don't think a lot of people know that they can share their spare, that you can live with one kidney, that you can give a slice of your liver, that you can give bone marrow. Oh, I didn't know that. What if I'm not? What if I'm not a match? Doesn't matter. If you're not a match for me, you can be a match for somebody else. And the recovery is not that big a deal. I mean, it's different for everybody, but I'm just very passionate. Now, I thought I was going to be kind of a retired sportscaster, playing a little more golf, helping displaced men and low-income kids. And now I'm on fire to, our drive for 5. Let's go out there and find 5,000 live organ donors. I think they're out there, especially, and Crissy really cemented this for me when, she was talking about, she was 53 years old. She kept herself in good shape. She's beyond child rearing years, and she was looking for some way to give back with significance. Why not give Missy Franklin's father, Dick, a kidney? And I know Randy's got his story as well. And I was talking to Randy the other day, and because we're going after groups of people like former athletes and sororities, fraternities, military, you name it, athletic departments, former athletes. And Randy was going, hey, man, former Olympians, they're the biggest fraternity in the world, and we're co-ed. I love that. And he's right. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there between 45 and 60 that are sitting around going, okay, what am I going to do to kind of kick off the fourth quarter of life? Why not share my spare, save a life, and leave a priceless legacy? Better than gold and silver, as somebody here has been known to say. That'd be Crissy.
It's wonderful to see in times of greatest needs, when we're seeing so much changing and shifting in the world, how come back humanity together, especially when we're talking about things of this nature that are such a delicate, very sensitive, time sensitive, because we obviously need to act fast. We also need to extend ourselves in any ways we can. And with that in mind, somebody here obviously experienced dire situation that really put him in position that he needed to have a 2 organ transplants. So do you mind sharing a little bit, Randy, about your story and how was that journey for you before you even knew that you're going to have one, and then how everything played out and where you are today?
Well, my journey started in 2016. I got a rare disease. I won't try to say it because I can barely get it off my tongue, but it's called, the shorthand is HSP vasculitis. Very rare, especially in adults. And one of the long-term effects is it will eventually attack your kidneys. And so between 2016 and 2020, that happened to me slowly over time. I didn't really feel any sudden onset. It was just kind of a slow degradation of my health. I was also in my early 40s. I figured, hey, I'm just getting a little older, maybe a little slower. And then things got to the point where my wife looked at me and she said, you need to go to the doctor. And I went and I did the blood tests in the morning. And then I went back to my work. I owned an automotive repair shop at the time, so I was doing physical labor. went back to work for a couple hours, showed back up to have the chat with the doctors, and I didn't make it past the waiting room. They were not able to get my real blood pressure, which is bad. I was put in a wheelchair and immediately wheeled to the emergency room for kidney failure. And during the middle of COVID, January of 20 or February of 2021, the last place anybody wanted to be was a hospital, and that's where I found myself. I was told that I was in kidney failure, and basically my only hope was to get a kidney transplant. Okay, that's a pretty big hit, but you know, I've overcome things before in my life. I was going to need a lot of help this time, but I went and had the appointment, and through the testing to find out if I was healthy enough to have a kidney transplant, I learned that because of my kidney failure, it hurt my liver. And I got something called portal hypertension in my liver. It's basically very concentrated high blood pressure specifically in your liver. They won't give you a good kidney if your liver doesn't work. So I walked out of that appointment needing 2 organs. That got a little scarier. Adjusted my mindset, realized that the only way I was going to make it was to get my own donors. And I just started asking everyone that I knew. And that turned into hundreds of people volunteering to start with a blood test. That's where all the testing starts. And then if you're the same blood type as me, you're a potential donor, and then they go through the rest of the testing. Turned out that my older brother was blood type match for me, and they qualified him as my kidney donor. And then I'm waiting and hoping for someone to be a liver donor. And it turns out that the wife of my son's high school wrestling team, his high school wrestling coach, had gone through the process to be considered for a kidney donor. And they came to her and said, would you possibly want to look into being a liver donor? She didn't even know she could donate a portion of her liver. This was all new to her. She graciously went through all the testing. Turned out she was a match. And so, unlike a lot of people, we were able to schedule my surgery. Double organ transplant. Usually don't get planned for that. It just kind of, hey, we got an organ, you got to get here now. And I was able to have 2 living donors, and we were able to schedule the surgery. It's a one-shot deal, liver in the morning, kidney in the afternoon. Went to sleep, and about 14 hours later, woke up with new parts. And just eternally grateful to my brother and Kelly, but also everybody else who took the time to have a blood test, to just start the process. And I just feel compelled to let people know that you can do this. My brother is a teacher. He was back to work 10 days later. He got gout, but that was his own fault because he didn't listen to the nutrition the night before surgery. Kelly was back to work, I think, about 90 days later. Her liver regenerated in me to full size in about 88 to 100 days. Her native liver regenerated back to full size in just under 90 days. It's just a remarkable thing when 2 people are willing to literally give a part of themselves to save your life. And the fact that I get to celebrate and spend time with and enjoy the company of my donors because they were living donors. And they get to see me live, which is also a really cool aspect. I'm sure Crissy can speak to this, but watching watching your recipient come back to life, because that's what you do. You come back to life. Has got to be a pretty awesome thing to be a part of, which is only possible with living donation.
I am deeply touched. And again, I love that story that has an amazing happy ending. And I can't even just imagine what happened, as you said, when you went there and realizing not only you're not feeling good, but you are in dire need of 2 organs. And then to take to take everything in your hands and to drive and find the donors, despite how you might be feeling mentally, emotionally, physically through that journey, just shows again that unwavering Olympic spirit that I always keep coming back to, and the mindset that people truly, when they experience in hardships, sometimes just don't even know what's possible, right?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd long put some of my athletic mentality, in the back. It wasn't active. It was dormant. It lived there still, but it was dormant. And when I was presented with literally the challenge to save my own life, and Mark can speak to this as well, everything you have focuses on that goal. And it's a big ask. To put yourself out there and say, I need help. But it's amazing the number of people who are willing to help you if they just know that that opportunity is there for them.
I love what you just said that. And that's why we're here having this legacy leaders roundtable discussion and conversation. So for everybody watching and listening, or they're going to be also checking this later on that are working, not able to join us right now live, have an opportunity to really think about it, what they feel compelled in their own heart to do, how they can also help. And to Mark's point, which I love again, how unselfless that is, it's not just about let me get my own kidney. He is extending this and has a huge, hefty goal and a vision, what he's trying to accomplish. Mark, do you mind sharing a little bit about that for our audience watching and listening so they can really see the vision behind what we are collectively working on together?
Sure. So I find out I need a kidney transplant. All right. And I've been going to a Friday morning Bible study with a bunch of jacked up dudes, as we call ourselves, for 20 years, and it's like a locker room. And, at the beginning, we're all sitting around, we're shooting the bull. And then, the first thing we do is the guy that leads it says, what's going on? My dog died. My wife left me. Need a car, a car broke down. I need a job, whatever. You throw things out that you use some prayer for. And I said, well, my kidneys aren't going to wake up. And so I need a kidney transplant. And one of my good buddies looked me in the eyeballs and said, McIntosh, get over yourself. Given your communication skills and your social media platforms, go find 5,000. Okay. So that's kind of where the number came. And some people have said you're crazy. Well, get in line. There's been a lot of people through my life tell me I'm crazy. That's why I think Crissy and Randy and I get along so well. I think we've had a lot of people tell us we're crazy along the way for some of the dreams that we had. But I know that sharing your spare will save somebody's life. And at this time in our nation's history, where we're all kind of looking for a way, how can we come together? We live in a pretty crazy time, not only in America, but all over the world. How about what a wonderful way to come together, sharing your spare, saving a life, and leaving a priceless legacy. I mean, it's a way for us to come together, whether we're black, white, brown, live in a mission, live in a mansion, it doesn't matter.
And it sounds trite. It really is that easy, though. It really is that easy. Because if you are healthy and you choose to go down this path, like you said, it starts with a blood test. If you're not a match for that singular person, you might be for someone else. They will tell you. if you're healthy enough to do it, if you're healthy enough to continue, if you're a good match or not. Maybe it won't be, maybe that won't be where you help, but you have gone through the process and then you're going to talk about it. It really is that simple. And I mean, surgery isn't that simple, but by the time you get to that point, I think you are motivated by the thought that you're going to be saving someone's life and that this will be bigger than you and the legacy will be long term. So yeah, when you say, hey, how hard is that? And you're crazy, whatever. Yeah. I get that it sounds trite that we're doing this and talking about this. But it really is easy. It really is.
And if I could just jump in, and Randy, you jump in whenever too, but and a few things for people out there that maybe are considering this is that, one, you'll get coaching along the way. Like we're all big fans of the American Transplant Foundation, which is based here in Denver. They provide coaches that will help you along the way when you're considering donating, because it's a sacrifice without question, and you'll probably have some family members or somebody else try to talk you out of it. And so there's coaches that will walk. And if you're worried about financial stuff, people like myself, I need a kidney transplant. My insurance pays for all your testing. And you never know, you might learn of something that you didn't know you had that could end up saving your life. And doesn't cost you a dime to go through the blood tests and stuff.
Yeah, the other thing about being in the if you're doing it through the Mayo clinics, which one of my friends did it through a Mayo clinic, another friend of mine did it through DOD out on the East Coast. I worked with Centura out of Denver. You're provided with a counselor who wants to make sure that you're in the right place, that you're healthy, you have a good state of mind. You have a nurse that keeps track of you, making sure that you're not, like, for example, if you are anemic, it's a really good idea to take iron. The way to make your body absorb iron better is to have vitamin C. However, if you take a lot of vitamin C, it can ruin your kidneys and your liver. So they're watching out for you as much as they're watching out for the recipient. But you also have a living donor as your advocate. You have my doctor who removed my kidney was not the doctor who gave the kidney to Dick. So their focus is on you. You don't, like you said, you don't have to pay a dime. You can apply to get help if you have to miss some work. Maybe you have a job that if you're a auto mechanic, you're probably not going to be able to work remote, so you can get help, doing that. They make it so you can be successful as the donor as much as you can be as successful as the recipient. It really is a priority for them all around, because it does nobody any good in the medical field at all to have people say, I would love to be a donor. Let me donate my kidney. Let me donate a lobe of my liver. And then I get sick. And now I need help too. That doesn't benefit their process at all. So I think the biggest pushback is, well, you're healthy now, but when you give up your kidney, you're not going to be healthy anymore. And that is just you couldn't get further from the truth. So.
Yeah, and on the recipient side, you get all of that support: psychologist, nutritionist, social worker. They come and make sure that I'm in a good place and I'm healthy enough that when I receive these gifts of someone's organs, that I also have a long-term, success rate. They want every recipient to be around forever, or as long as they can be.
For sure.
As a recipient, they keep things from you, and I think this is good. They don't tell you who your potential donors are. They don't want the donor to feel pressure by telling me, the recipient, hey, your brother's going to be your donor. They don't ever say that to you because they don't want the donor to ever feel pressure. My insurance covered everything for me, for Joel, my brother, and Kelly. They got the $1 million workup. They know everything about themselves medically for nothing.
Facts.
It's such a methodical process that they go through, and the care that they have for donors and recipients is the same.
Yeah.
They want everyone to be healthy after the surgery. I don't know about Crissy. My brother's on a very mild blood pressure medication. That's the only thing he has long term to deal with. Kelly, nothing like that. She's fine. There's one cool bonus that should help alleviate some people's concerns when it comes to being a donor. God forbid later in life you do become sick and you need a transplant of any kind, organ, bone marrow, retinal, anything, you go to the front of the line. That is the thank you that the community of doctors and professionals and donors and recipients, that's the freebie for you. So if my brother or Kelly ever need anything like that, to the front of the line. Crissy, front of the line.
I've actually been really healthy, and I'm glad that minor blood pressure issues might even come up even if I hadn't donated a kidney, because it does run in my family. So that was, something that they took into consideration. I wanted just one little thing that you said. They don't, you never have to disclose if you're the donor. If you never want to have a relationship with that person, you never have to disclose that. You can disclose it to only that person and commit to total privacy just between you and your recipient. And you never have to disclose that if you don't want to. It's 100% private, and even if you're a recipient, you don't even have to tell people that you did it, but a lot of people are like, oh, you're alive. You clearly,
You do have to explain a little bit. Yeah.
You do. Yeah. You have to. I literally wouldn't have to explain anything at all. And like you said, not feeling pressure, like to the moment they're like wheeling me in. I'm already like on the good stuff. My eyes are closed. I'm like feeling it. And they wheel you in. I'm still conscious. And they still are asking you, like the moment before they put that on your face and say, sing the alphabet backwards and you go Z, do you still want to do this? Or what are you here for? And are you still, do you still say yes to this or whatever? And of course, because I'm a smart aleck, I said, oh, I'm here for breast augmentation. And the doctor you could hear a little bit of chuckling, but then the nurse, he was all business, because like you don't want to joke about that. They don't want to take my organ if I really don't want it. And I finally was like, hey y'all, I'm just kidding. I'm ready to give my kidney to Dick, But yeah, right up into the moment, if you change your mind or you even want to pause a day, you're scared and you want to talk more about it, you have that option. Like it's amazing to me the amount of, well, like you said, you get the $1 million checkup, how much I learned about myself, which I already felt like I knew a lot about my body just from being an Olympic athlete. And then I've had 2 healthy children. So that, that kind of stuff, but also like understanding the impact of someone who does need a kidney and does need a liver, and all of the medical stuff that could come after that if you don't get what you need, So you said being able to see someone come alive within, an hour or so after, their surgery. I know for a fact, like I got to see Dick not too long after the surgery, and his color changed. The color of his eyes changed. The color around his lips had changed. He looked great. His wife is a doctor and she was just thrilled. So like, it's, the worries, so like they do seem big sometimes, but the benefits and all of the wonderful stuff after it, I think is, it's It's greater than the cost. The reward is much greater than the cost.
And if I could jump in here, and for me, it's so fascinating and educational and inspiring to hear from Crissy. She's donated. From Randy, he's received, and I'm a candidate, right? And one of the things that I've really learned, and as we all have gotten to know each other, from my perspective right now, is trying to exercise patience, because it is a process. I need a kidney, right? I want to kind of get back into life and not have to go get dialysis 3 days a week and all that kind of stuff. But it's a process that I need to learn patience with affliction, because I have people all the time, I'll give you my kidney. Like, sure, let's go down to the hospital and cut it out right now, but it's a process.
And I just wanted to echo the process. I was in a situation where I was looking to save my aunt's life that was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And when her liver was completely damaged, I thought, let me at least try to prolong her life and go through that path. And I did it on my own. And I remember I knew it intuitively that should not be the issue. But also being young and also focusing so much of caregiving to family, at that time was interesting dynamics that were happening. My mom passed away. There were just so many things that I was like, I just go to the doctor once a year for annual checkup and I don't need to worry about anything. Lo and behold, fortunately, my aunt passed. And right after the funeral, literally, funeral happened on Sunday. Next Monday, I'm receiving call from doctors and asking me urgently to come to see them. If I didn't go and did initiative on my own, I would probably prolong to go my annual checkup for a year or two, because I thought I don't need anything. I'm healthy and I'm just going to continue providing care and support to my loved ones. I would never discover that I had a precancerous and cancerous cells. And as a result of early discovery, I'm here today, and I didn't even have to do chemo radiation. So I just want to point it out what early also Mark mentioned. When you make decisions, you also learn so much about yourself, who you are, what you're made of, what's important to you, where you invest time and effort, what is your where do you stand to really make an impact and difference. And sometimes we can make the impact, as we're mentioning right now in this conversation right here, and bring that, again, joy and happiness and happy outcome for everyone on the end. So Randy, your surgery is one of the most recent ones. And do you mind sharing for everyone coming in this holiday season, how it feels? How is your life and quality of life? I'd love to hear that, and as well from Crissy on that question too.
And I want to know what you got your brother for Christmas that year. It was birthday.
We'll start with how I'm doing. Because I got 2 organs at one time, the recovery was fairly lengthy for me. I felt pretty good about 6 months after, once my organs were fired up and everything was working, and I could manage not to go to the hospital every other day for a while. And it's just slowly been on an upward trajectory. I would say about a year later, so February of last year, I felt better than I had in about 6 or 7 years. So before HSP, any of that, back to like late 30s was how I felt. Now I feel better than I probably have in 12 to 15 years. I have energy. I'm not cold all the time.
That's
my body's working again, despite the rather large incision through my abdomen and then the smaller one in my pelvis where my kidney went. I feel and want to be more active than I have in a long time, and so I feel like this is kind of life 2.0 for me. I get back all of the the youth and the exuberance and the energy and the zest and love for life and wanting to do all the things. I got a great new job. I work full time. It's given me my life back, and it's amazing to look back because I realize how bad I really felt. Yet I still went to work every day.
That's the
almost right up to the beat.
That's literally the athlete in you. You're like, I'm supposed to feel a little bit of pain and yeah, I don't feel so great or whatever. Like we literally live in deficit training. So then when we do get really sick or have a real injury and you're maybe this much better health-wise, it probably felt like this because you had been living in deficit for so long.
Yeah. Now, as for what I gave my brother for Christmas, you're not allowed to compensate your donors. You can't give them a car. You can't pay off their mortgage. You can't give them any money. You cannot influence their decision in any way. But you can give them a thank you gift. So prior to surgery, knowing we were all going to be, beautiful people, suddenly have big scars, I said to my brother and to Kelly, I said, when you're ready, I will pay for the tattoo to cover your scars because I plan on getting a rather large tattoo to cover my scar. So my brother was first to go, and his scars are, for what happened to him, relatively small, and they're right on his belly button. Well, nobody wants a tattoo on the belly button. So he decided he would get his on the left side where his kidney had been taken from. And we settled on the word vacancy, like you would see on a motel.
Little neon.
If you'll let me, I'll post a picture later. It's probably, 6-7 inches or more across by about 1.5 inches tall.
Love it.
And it is fluorescent pink against the palest of the palest white skin you have ever seen. And my brother loves to show it off. He's a high school teacher. He shows all of his students, which is a good conversation starter. It's, for as ridiculous as it is, I don't think my brother is more proud of anything stuck to him ever. Yeah. And Kelly hasn't decided. I've made some suggestions that have been denied by the committee.
Tattoos can be very personal.
Yeah, well, her scar is straight down, and she's married to a firefighter, and that lent itself to a few comedic suggestions. Maybe John sliding down a fire pole down the scar in the middle. Anyway, when she decides, it's on me.
That's awesome. I had to have a really serious emergency appendectomy in 2011. My appendix burst, but of course, as an athlete, I was like, oh, I just have the flu. And like, I just waited and waited and waited. And like 5 days later, I was like, infected with my own terrible body part. And so I have a scar from my belly button down to my pelvis already. And I just remember being like, yeah, man, like this thing almost killed me. Like I'm still wearing a bikini. I don't care, And now I had, which there were also a couple of the ones that kind of just like poke around and look around, whatever they're called, endoscoping or whatever. And then now I have this other one where I donated a kidney. And I'm still like, yeah, man, I got bit by a shark because they know I'm like, I can usually string people along pretty far, but I'm a really bad liar. It's like the good Catholic girl, I'm a bad liar. And I'll like be talking about, oh, I didn't know you did open swim. I'm like, yeah, but then one time you get attacked and like really scares you. And then I like chuckle to myself and I can't lie anymore. So. But usually kids are very impressed by my scars, whether I tell them it's a shark bite or that I gave up an organ for someone. They're like, oh my God, that's so cool. So I got my street cred.
Such big scars. Didn't we say that when we were kids, Mark?
Yeah, the chicks dig the scars. For sure.
Dang it. Now you're telling me it's 65.
Right. And tattoos. But so you could also get a tattoo after receiving. So I don't know if Dick is on board with that. And I already had tattoos. But this is something we can discuss on another call.
I love the sense of humor, camaraderie, and amazing again athlete mindset and what we can do to make an impact difference. We're looking here from pursuit of excellence through Crissy's sharing and her passion of professional achievements, as well as obviously her community service that she did specifically by being the donor. We're also seeing amazing empowerment here, and Mark, that is again, a lifelong athlete showing up as a champ, not giving in for the current new obstacle he's facing, and then how he's pushing this forward to also find not only match and the right donor for him, but also to help and find match and donors for others in dire needs and bring some cheer and positive spirit this holiday season. And obviously, Randy, it's fantastic to see how this played out in your world and recently, obviously, in the last few years, and where you at today. So guys, life is precious. Opportunities to save it, to make an impact, and make a difference are tremendous. So in closing, I would love to, if you can share around the robin or however would you like, some of the best things and calls for action, and some of the things that you really think will be tremendous for others to step in and do, starting with you, Mark.
Well, I'm going to defer to Crissy. Ladies first.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I'm
lady. Okay. Oh, I get so confused. I don't want to. And I definitely don't want to end this on a down note, because I feel like everything that we're doing is positive. But one of the things that I stress a lot when I've had an opportunity to talk to a group, I was a member of a Rotary group when I was in business in Tucson. And if I get to talk to a spouses group where I live now, or people have questions about it at my CrossFit gym or whatever, it's not enough. It's great, but it's not enough to sign your license to say you're going to be an organ donor if anything were to happen to you. That is great. And that is necessary. And that does help people, that when you're done with your little meat suit, spread the love and hopefully someone can benefit from that. But only 2% of organs that are harvested that way can help someone. And especially in a situation with a kidney or a liver, a heart. It's very hard to keep, if you happen to pass away or get in a car accident, having people get to you in a timely manner. Maybe you do want to be an organ donor. They're trying to save your life, but now they're trying to find out, oh, maybe you won't survive. Let's start doing tests on this person to see if they can be a donor. It might be too late. And 17 people die every day needing a kidney or a liver. And so my message, that's great, do that. And if that's what you're comfortable doing, or you're comfortable just talking about it or spreading the word or sharing my story, that's great. There is one, you can do more and find out if you can get into the living donor registry and see if you can make an impact on someone's life. And it's very proactive, and you don't need to die to do it. So I know that's not the sexiest way to end, but I think sometimes people forget that we have a living donor registry that can actively be helping people starting today. And we don't need to wait for you to pass away. And it's more fun being a living donor anyway. I get to, I get to make Dick feel guilty for loving Mexican food because of me.
Well, actually, I was going to head that direction too. Yes, deceased organ donation is the ultimate gift you can give somebody else, undoubtedly. But the mentality I took on when I was told I needed 2 organs, not just one, was if I'm waiting on the list, I'm going to die on the list because I wasn't that high of a priority, because I was definitely sick, but I wasn't like death's doorstep sick. I wasn't that sick, exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew, for me, I had to find my own donors. It wasn't really an option. And it's the most awesome thing, because I get to hang out with the people who saved my life.
Mhm.
And when you're a living donor, you can plan ahead. It's easier for the recipient because they can plan ahead. The doctors, the medical staff, everybody can plan ahead. And when you can make a plan versus be on call, the outcome is always better. It's better for the donor, it's better for the recipient, it's better for the medical staff and the hospital. Planning ahead is worth its weight in gold, and giving somebody the ability to do that as a living donor. So I talk about this all the time. It's understood that you can be an organ donor and live through it. Getting on the registry and being willing to give of yourself as a living donor is, in my opinion, the greatest gift you can give anyone, whether you know them or they're a stranger. As a recipient, I can say unequivocally that my donors saved my life. There's no doubt of it. And they're very humble people. Most donors are. I think every donor is. And they don't want to be said, "Oh, you're a hero," or "You've saved my life." But that's the truth. And they should be celebrated, not just by the recipient and their family, but by the world and the community that they live in. It's just such a compelling thing to do, and the legacy you lead, and the people whose lives you will change and save. There's no more awesome thing. I mean, if you have any drive in you as a person to do something great, to leave a legacy, to be a hero, to attain some status as someone who did something amazing with their life, living organ donation is it. That's it. It doesn't get better than that.
Thank you so much for that. Such a powerful share. And for Mark, who is orchestrating all of this and call for action, he has some provision, obviously, done where people can go, inquire, ask questions, but also truly support the efforts. And Mark, you're doing some tremendous work right now. Do you mind sharing with the audience what that is and where they can get engaged with you?
Sure. And just real quickly, I want to just add on to the wonderful comments from Crissy and from Randy that, for me, I think of all the people I sit in dialysis with 3 days a week. I see a lot of suffering. I'm blessed, I think, because I've been an athlete my whole life and I've kept myself in pretty good shape. I don't have a lot of other stuff going on. I need a kidney because amyloidosis destroyed it. But I see my friends in dialysis, and I know a lot of them need kidney transplants. And so my call to action is basically what we've been talking about, that, just people out there, especially in that 45 to 60 range, you've taken care of yourself, you're in pretty good shape, you're past childbearing years, and you're looking for a way, as Randy so wonderfully stated, to, do something of significance. This is a great path to do it. And, everything's there for you. And one of our other partners in this that I absolutely love is the American Transplant Foundation. And people ask, how do I figure out? Just go to the AmericanTransplantFoundation.org and you'll find out how you can help, and to think that all this wonderful medical test you're going to get starting out doesn't cost you anything, and you never know. You might find out that you got something like you did, Isabella. At the very least, you are doing something that can save somebody else's life, and I keep saying it all the time because I love to say it. But and Crissy penned it because I blog about this each Friday. Fridays with Mac, I talk about live organ donation and everything, and she said it's better than gold and silver.
It is.
That's
I do both. I get to stratify. I get it.
It's and I think there's a lot of people out there. They're kind of wired like we're all wired. That you want to give back. This is a darn good way of doing it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it was absolute honor and privilege to have you here at the Legacy Leader Roundtable and have this discussion. This is to be continued, more details to follow. But for everyone, again, watching and listening, please take a time, explore and see what's possible. I know that a lot of people are still considering even blood donations. Start somewhere. Look at and educate yourself. Go to Donor Association with Cancer, American Donor Association, and really figure it out. What is the path? What does it look like? Because all of us in different stages of life. And again, as precious life it is, we have opportunity to shape and influence not only our choices and decisions, but our influence and support others that need to help the most.
Yeah, and Isabel, if I could, the American Transplant Foundation is a wonderful place for anybody out there. We all three of us, and it was, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, it was started by Steve Farber, who was an incredible man that cared so much about his family, the community of Denver, and he's a big sports fan. He started the American Transplant Foundation. His family did. And so if you're curious, AmericanTransplantFoundation.org, and there's how can I help, and click on there and it says living donor, and you can follow them on social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can follow other donors and recipients. I'm a part of Kidney Donor Athletes. You can follow, and even if you just want to do it in support, but if it's intriguing to you, that's also a good way to learn a little bit more if you have any questions and you can't get a hold of the three of us, which I'm sure we would answer any call, but if you're not in my phone, I usually don't answer it. So
fantastic. We'll be definitely continue this conversation. This is just to break the ice, and more to come this holiday season, as well as I will be sharing the links in the comments, and any comments that you have. We're all available and easy to find across the social media, and we look forward to the next round and opportunity to answer any of your questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Isabella. Appreciate it. See you.